would like to get this. So, you know, we start with that, and I just let everybody know that we're recording. So if anybody's got a problem with that, I'll turn it off. If not, you know, don't worry about that. So when we did started the Gospel in the Stars, we used that the basic. Uh, Unless you have any other questions that you know that you want, Jan. If there's anything else on your mind, you know, we can I can backtrack a little bit. I mean, we did 8 constellations already, and 3 decans in each constellation. So you know, we did over like 24 constellations already. But the basic psalm we use Psalms 19.
Mm-hmm.
It's a springboard verse, actually.
Yeah, that's the
Uh,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
we, we defined every single one, and you know, to the chief musician, the Psalm of David, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork.
Right.
You know, we had show what the heavens are. We know what the heavens are. That's what's
Right.
above us. You know, you got the
Right.
hidden ones we don't see, but the one that we do see is the stars,
It's
and
the
he named
stars.
it. And we found out what the glory of God is, and we know that that's Jesus. And there's so many verses
Right.
talking about the glory of God in Hebrews and in other places. And then the firmament shows his handiwork. So we got those words in there. And
Right.
a day unto other with speech, and this is something that you can see in the daytime, and night unto night show with his knowledge, and you can see it in the nighttime.
Right.
We know that he
Right.
gave uh, the gospel in the stars way back when to Adam. It was, I mean, the gospel was in the stars before Adam came up out of the dust of the earth.
Right.
And he, God taught it to Adam, and he taught it to his sons, and
Right.
um, and they passed it down. And there is no speech, no language where their voice is not heard. Now, when you're on this earth here and you're looking up, this is a universal gospel. I mean, when I say universal, I'm talking about on this particular planet, on this earth. If
Right.
you're in China, if you're in Mexico, if you're in Europe, if you're in Japan, if you're in South America, wherever you are on this
You'll
planet,
be able. You'll be
this
able to see.
the names of these stars are the same no matter where you go. You look up these names in any language; they all mean the same thing,
Okay.
and that's important. Uh, and then, like I said, all over this planet. But you know, I really that, you know hit me this of the universe that we are this solar system, and right here on this planet. When we look up at the stars, we see a unique.
I don't understand. You're breaking up. You were doing fine. What's going on?
What happened here? We got a lot of noise in the background here. Hold on a second. Okay, when we're on this planet, we're looking up. This gospel is for us on this planet because you won't see these particular constellations in this order anywhere else, but from this planet. So this is exclusively for us over here. But the pictures that are up there, you see some fanciful pictures, you know, with men and beasts and animals and all kinds of things. But
Right.
what's really important is the stars themselves and the names
Right.
and what they mean. And we know that God put the stars up there, and we know that He gave them the meaning. And their line has gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath He set a tabernacle for the sun. So this is talking about the ecliptic of the sun as it goes around. And these constellations move around the ecliptic, and each shows up at its time, and it each tells a story. Which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber and rejoices as a strong man
Strong
on a
run
race.
away.
We know that that's Christ. Anyway, you see a picture of the strong man up in the stars, whether it's Orion, Perseus, or whatever it is up there, the centaur, these are all pictures of Christ. And
Okay.
every creepy crawly thing, you know, scorpions, sea monsters, and all these other things are pictures of Satan, and that's what this is all about. and
All
his
right.
going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. And this goes on talking about the law and the statutes and everything, and that's what's up there in the stars. Also, this whole thing it's not. This isn't like a disjointed uh, psalm here. It's the same thing from 1 to 14. It all means the same thing. It's all talking about the gospel.
Okay.
So that's basically where we jumped off from, and we start.
Okay.
So, um, the secular world, the horoscope world, and the astrology world, they start with Aries for some reason, and I can see how they can, because when God told Moses, this will be the first month for you. You will start here in Abib or Nisan, and that's probably why they're starting there. They're calling that the first month, and the first month is Aries. And but it's a beautiful constellation. But we start with Virgo because that makes the most sense. Because the first prophecy in the Bible, in Genesis 3:15, talks about uh, actually talks about everything that's in the stars. Uh,
Okay.
says to Satan, he says, "I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy and her son.
I see her seed.
And thou shalt bruise his heel." And that's what all these pictures are all about. Of Orion, Hercules, or any mighty man that you see in the stars, you always see his heel being bruised by the Satan, but ultimately his other leg is going to be crushing the head of the Satan. And we know that the bruising of the heel was him dying on the cross. And when he was resurrected and coming again in glory, that will be the crushing of the head serpent. That's what it's all about. And like I said, starting with Virgo, and that's the woman bearing the branch. And there was a whole bunch of stars, but we got to get into the star names there. And there are dozens of them. So, I'm gonna run through real quick. I'm not going to do all the star names. And also in Virgo, you have a decan. Each constellation has three decans to it, and they're also called constellations too. So you say there's four constellations there, and the first one in Virgo is the Coma, COMA, and it's called the branch or the infant near or held by the woman. And we were putting up pictures. I found some pictures. I can't go searching for them all right now, but Coma is one, and it symbolized the branch or the infant being held by the woman. You see her sitting on a chair or something like that. And also in this Virgo, you have another decan. It's called the Centaur or the Centaurus, and it's a figure of a half human, half horse.
Yeah.
He's holding a dart and an animal, and it's the despised one. It's the sin offering, and it's the one.
Oh my
What is
God.
that?
That was my phone. I'm sorry.
All right, and it's the one who is pierced and who pierces, and it's also the mediator. And the third decan in Virgo is called Boots, and that's a human figure bearing a branch. And but also that has two different things here. Let me go back real quick here. Um, let me see here. Hold on, Virgo. Okay, it's also called Arcturus, the Great Shepherd, and the Harvester. So he's got a rod in one hand and a sickle in the other hand. So he's the shepherd. He loves the flock, and the sheep know him, and he knows the sheep. And he's also the grim reaper, so to speak, because he has the sickle, and he walks forth with his flocks, and he's going to be doing that. And then we went on to Libra real quickly, and that's the scales, the balancing.
Yeah.
That's the redeeming, and Also in there, you have one of the constellations is the cross, and it's the mark of a boundary or a limitation. It's a boundary mark. And there's another decan in there. It's called the victim, which is the animal held by the centaur, and it's a victim to be slain. And also in this Libra, you have the third decan, which is the northern crown. You see the northern crown, which the serpent aims to take. So the northern crown is being looked at by the serpent. He's looking up and he's trying to grab it. And then we go into the third constellation, which was Scorpio, and that's the serpent, and he's struggling with this man that's grasping the serpent, and the man that's grasping the serpent is called Ophiuchus, and that's the second decan. And there's two words that were thrown together by this. We found out that this Ophiuchus is 660. Hold on a second. I got this wrong thing up here.
660.
Oh, 660 is Viper. It's called. Let me put this up here. Hold on. It's Epha, and the other one is Akaz 0270. 270. Akaz, and that's caught. So when you put these together, you have Epha Akaz, and that's the guy's name is Ophiuchus, and it means the viper being held in the grasp of this man. So that's how we get the name Ophiuchus from that. And it's also you have stars in here meaning treading underfoot, the serpent being held, stamp, pierce, wounding, contending, the head of him who holds. He's holding the head, and he's called the holder of the serpent, and that's Ophiuchus. And you got another decan in here called Hercules, and that's the third decan, and it means the strong one, wounded. The couple of stars in here called the wounding, the punishing, treading underfoot, chastening, the sin offering, the branch, the head of him who bruises, the head of the desired, him who bruises, one who kneels. And these are all the symbols of the decan Hercules, which is in Scorpio.
Okay, that's what I was about to ask. This is all under Scorpio.
Yeah, this is the constellation for Scorpio, and we moved. Those are the three decans in there, and we moved on to Sagittarius, and this is the fourth one that we looked at, and we noticed that these constellations were broken up into sections, three main sections. The first four are in the first section: Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. And these are all about the Redeemer, talking about Christ and what he had to go through, all the trouble that he had to put up with, and what was going to happen to him, and the suffering, and all of the stuff that he had to go through, being pierced, being wounded, and then in the Sagittarius, you got the lyra, which is the like the harp. Where am I looking at it? Hold on. So, but I said, oh, okay, the Sagittarius, it's the archer going forth. And he's got the arrow, and he's got the bow, and he shoots it. And these are all different star names in there: arrow, bow, shoot, and it's the archer who sends forth the arrow. It's called the delighted in the gracious, the going, sending forth, the gracious, pleasant one, the dart, he who comes forth, the riding of the bowman, and all these things. All these are star names. I'm saying them in English, but they're in other languages, and we had to translate them. So I'm saying the English star names because they all mean the same thing in whatever language you're saying. It's Our name means Noemi, which means gracious, or pleasant. So I'm just giving you the English names.
Okay.
The gracious one.
But
Okay.
these are the stars that are in the constellation for Sagittarius, is what you're saying?
Yes, yeah. And I'm ripping through these real quick, and I don't expect you to take any notes on. I'm just giving you a brief synopsis of where we've been with
Okay,
these constellations. Um,
I understand.
and there's another decan in Sagittarius. You got the Lyra, which is an eagle holding the Lyra as a triumph. And you have another one. And let me see some of the stars in here. It's, to send forth, to smite, springing up, coming straight, triumph, he shall be exalted. The Lyra or the harp. And those are some of the English names for the star that's in that. And, another decan is Ara, A-R-A, and that means the altar. And this is the altar with consuming fire, and it's turned upside down. It's burning downward. And some of the stars mean the completing, the finishing, the perfect. It's an altar, and we have, and you know that's the altar going down, and that's the consuming fire there. And also another decan, and these are all the sufferings that Christ had to go through. with the Draco is another decan in here that's called the dragon or the serpent.
Hmm.
Long serpent or the dragon, and it's called subtle, the punished enemy, punishment and enemy, the subtle wise serpent, the head of the subtle or the serpent, the reptile, Alwade, who is to be destroyed, is another star. Athik is the fraudful, or the bowed down or stooping, wounded in the head. These are different star names here. The trodden on or the tread upon, and the Draco. Okay, that's good. So those are the first four constellations that we do, and that's considered book one, and that's all about the Redeemer. And then we moved on to like book two, which is all about the redeemed. The next four constellations are all about us and our relation to the Redeemer, and that would be Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries. So Capricorn, you have the goat, and that's the atonement, and that's the slain goat, and it's a picture of a goat. I don't know if this is the one with the picture of the goat and the tail. Let me see. Hold on a second. I got to get the picture here. Hold on. Capricorn. Yes, it's the picture of the goat with the tail of the fish. So we're going to start getting into the church and us and our relation to Christ. So he's the picture of the goat that goes down, that's slain, but his tail is the fish's tail, and that's the one that rises up. And some of the star names here is the kid, or hewed down, or cut off, or the kid cut off. Station of bearing the goat atonement, sinking down, bowed, and that's the picture of the goat slain, the sacrifice slain, the slaying, destroying, the record of the cutting off. So that's basically all that is all about. Is the goat going down and being sacrificed, and then you have a decan in there. It's called Sagitta. You notice it sounds like Sagittarius, but Sagitta just means the arrow. Sagittarius is the bowman that shoots the arrow. But this Sagitta is just the arrow itself, and it's flying. It's in the middle of the constellation, and you see nothing else around it. It's all by itself, and you don't know who's shooting it, but we know who's shooting it. So it's something that's shot out there, and it's in the middle of the sky, and it's there all by itself, and that's the arrow or the killing dart sent forth, and It's the naked shaft of death, actually. And it's destroying, it's desolate, and it's anciently said to be the arrow that slew the eagle. And because the next decan, the second decan, is Aquila, 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 and that's the eagle falling. So this arrow is going right at the eagle, Aquila, and it's the wounded eagle. It's torn. He cometh down. It's the wounding, the piercing, wounded in the heel, the bright scarlet. That's like blood, I guess. And Deneb is the judge that comes, and that's Aquila, and that's the eagle pierced and falling. And then the third decan in this Capricorn is Delphinus. It's a picture of a dolphin, and the dolphin is springing up, raised up out of the sea. So all of these constellations usually end with something, on a positive note. This dolphin is pouring out of the water, coming quickly, swift, flow of water, and that's what all these dalaf means, pouring out of water, swiftly running as water in a trough. So when and that's a picture of this dolphin coming up out of the water. And then you got Aquarius, which is like another water thing, and all of these have to do with the church, actually, and the fish are considered in the church, and we said that we're fish. We looked at all of the words for fish, and the 153, 7 times 153, and that's the church. So this Aquarius, and this is the water bearer, and he's pouring the water forth, and we saw all the verses with water. I give you the water of life freely, and there's dozens and dozens of verses with water that we looked at.
Hey, John.
Hello?
Are you sharing anything? Because we're not seeing anything. Are you just reading from a book right now?
I'm talking from what I remember, and then some stuff from my notes.
It just looked like there was a page behind the one that's showing there, and
there's a bunch of pages behind it. I got a bunch back there. I got them all set up waiting to go for today, but right now we're just looking at. I don't want to stop and call all of these stuff up because we'll be here all night calling these things up.
Fine. I just want to make sure. All right, go ahead.
So it's good for me to get this in my head. A brief synopsis over here, and if Jan and everybody else that comes later on wants to get these, we could send them all of these recordings, and you'll see an hour and a half each recording, and we break down every single star. Well, not every single star, but the most important stars that are in the constellation, and tell what they mean. And we all know this is given to us from God.
Great.
So we're talking about Aquarius and the water bearer, the pouring forth, and that's the water urn, and that's the bucket, pouring out, rising up, pouring out. Okay. He who goeth and returns, he went about, going and returning, the stream, the vessel pouring out, the urn, the bowl. All of these are star names here: record of pouring, record, vessel, and urn. And what he's doing is he's pouring out this water from this urn, and it's going right down below his feet to the first decan of this constellation called Pisces Australis. And that's Pisces means fish, and Australis means south. So it's the southern fish drinking in the water from the urn. And this is a picture of the church getting the fresh water, and it's called Mouth of the Fish, and that's the only one star that we studied in there called Mouth. So, and then we move on to the next decan, which is Pegasus, and that's the winged horse. And let me see. Hold on a second. Down in Aquarius, the southern fish drinking in the stream, and then Pegasus is a white horse. He's winged and he's speeding, and he as with good tidings. So he's coming swiftly and it comes from Paga. We discovered something on here. It comes from Paga and Sus. There's two words that they put together. Pegasus, like we found the Ophiuchus. We put two words together and we got that. But this Pegasus means two different words too. I want to throw them up here because it was kind of confusing because I know Pega means horse. Actually, Sus means horse, and Paga means winged. So 5483. Let me put this up real quick. I want 5483. I want to give you any wrong information here. So that's horse, Sus in the Hebrew, and Pega is 6293. Oh, 6293. And that's Pega, which means to encounter or to meet. And there was something else. So that's Pegasus. That's where we get Pegasus from, encountering or meeting the horse. I had another name here, 54, 83. We got that already, 54, 83. Okay, I don't want to get caught up with all of these things up, but that's where we get Pegasus from those two words put together. And it's about returning from afar is one star. Who goeth and returneth or went about. That's another star. Another star is the branch, and another one is who carries. Another one is the water. Another one is who causes to overflow, or plenteous. So there's plenty of it coming out, and coming quickly, joyfully, is another aspect of this Pegasus decan here. And then Cygnus is the swan or the bird of passage. You can see it could also be a stork, but a Cygnus, Cygnus, and a couple of the stars in here. He goes and returns. He gathers about, shining forth, who returns as in a circle, round about. And we looked up all of these stars and we killed them all. And it's a lot of work, but I'm just throwing it at you real quick here. Who flieth, he shall come down. Catabeno, judge, circuit, going in a circle. So all of these things, Cygnus, the swan on the wing, going and returning, bearing the sign of the cross. When you look up at Cygnus, it looks like a big T in the sky, and it's like itself. And then we moved on to the third act in this book here is Pisces, and that also has to do with us too. And that's the fishes, and that's the multitudes, and that's upheld. And we did a lot of work on fishes. We looked up every word for the book. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. I don't know what that is.
I don't either. There's something going on.
If somebody can mute their microphone there. It's very distracting. Let me see. Pisces, the fishes, the multitudes, upheld, and we know a couple of words for fish. Dagim in the Old Testament is dag, fish, the multitude, and the fish lengthened out as posterity. The fish of him that cometh, the bee, and ichthus is the fish that's in the New Testament, and Pisces is a Latin name for fish, and it means multiplying. And all of we went through so many words for fish, and we got a good study on the fish, especially in John 21. He talks about the 7 and the 153, and then it's also called two more. We got united and upheld. Those are two words in there, and also the fish is being held together. Pisces is two fishes. One's going north and one's going along the ecliptic. And let me see if I got. I give you a picture of the Dendera here. If I got it. No, that's not it. Hold on a second. way you can get a bird's eye view of what these constellations look like, as far as the pictures that we put up there for them. And this is the Dendera planisphere, and it's up in, it was in Egypt, and they found it on the ceiling somewhere, and you can see all of the constellations here. And we started in Aries. Excuse me. We started in Virgo here, and she is Scorpio. Let me rotate this here. Hold on a second. Here's Scorpio. There's the tail, and there's. I just want to make sure I got this one right here. Hold on a second. Sorry. All right. So here she is. Here's Virgo. Wait a second. Hold on a second. And the scales. Where's the scales? Okay. So you got Virgo here. And then the scales, if you can see this thing here is a scale. It's got balances on it right here. And that's the Libra, the scales and the balancing. And then Scorpio, of course, you can see Scorpio here. Here's the Scorpion right here.
Okay.
Got Sagittarius, and he's got his bow and arrows right here, and he's aiming it right at the Scorpion. And here he is on the horse with the head of the man over here. All right, and then let me rotate this here. Went the wrong way. Hold on. One more time. There we go. It's hard to see if you're not familiar with it. Okay. So there's the Sagittarius. Okay, and here's the Capricorn. Here's the goat's head, and here's the tail of the fish over here.
All right.
All right. And then we go to Aquarius, and he's the water bearer. He's pouring out the water. So here's a picture of the Aquarius, and right here is the urn in his hand, and he's pouring out the water. Right here is the fish's mouth over here. And then you got Pisces, which is the two fish connected with the band. So here's one fish here.
I see it.
And here's the band that's connecting them by the tail. Okay. And here's the fish. So we talked about the Old Testament and the New Testament. That's basically what this is, the Old Testament church and the New Testament church. And they're connected. And there was all kinds of different things connotated with that. So that's basically what some of them are. And then,
John, is there any way I can get a copy of this particular picture you have here?
If you look up Dendera planisphere, if you go to your Google or Bing or whatever you use, and just type
spell
in.
Spell it for me. Could you spell it for me?
Dendra, Dendra. Planisphere, Planisphére.
All right, thanks.
It says Dendra, but I think it's Dendera. But put that in, you should be able to get it anyway. If you just look up Planisphere, you'll get a lot of pictures.
All right,
but it took a bit to get comfortable looking at this here, you know. So Pisces, and it's held by the band here. And then you'll see there's another decan in Pisces called Cephas, which is a human figure holding a branch. Actually, you could say Kephas, and it's the branch, and it's called branches. And he comes in a circle, treading underfoot, and the foot that crushes, and that's a regal. Is another star, and that's a star. It means foot. And Alderam is quickly coming as in a circle, and all these things are like coming quickly, you know, when they're round and in a circle. Alfurk is the redeemer or the redeemed, and Al Ray and Array is who bruises or breaks and breaks, and Cephas is the branch. and that is let me see, the Pisces. So the band holding up the fishes and held by the lamb on its double end, and also the band is being captured by Cetus, which is one of the pictures for Satan. And you'll see that Aries is also has his hand, his paw on one of the bands too. Let me see. Cephas is the crowned king holding a band and a scepter, with his foot planted on the pole star, as the great victor and lord. And then you have Andromeda, which is a picture of the church, or the picture of the chained church, the chain in um, a woman in chains and threatened by the serpent. Uh, so that's a picture of Andromeda, and that's the chained church, stretched out. She's afflicted, she's weak, she's bound. Almara is bitter, she's the afflicted. Uh, uh, Alparatz is the broken down, or broken, struck down. The abundance assembled, liberty. So these are all the star names in Andromeda, and she's the chained woman. And we'll go on to see that eventually she becomes the church, the freed woman. Let me see. Hold on a second.
Andromeda.
A lot of stuff here, man. We went through a lot of stuff here. I want to catch up. Scorpio. I got to touch Sagittarius. I can go through this a lot quicker with Capricorn, Theta. Hold on a second. At Pegasus, we got that. Okay. Cygnus. And then let me get to Andromeda. Hold on, Pisces. The band. All right, one more. That's Cephas or Kephas. And where's Andromeda? Hold on a second. Andromeda, the chained woman, the redeemed in their bondage and affliction, the church, just as the fishes is, a woman with chains fastened to her feet and arms. She's in misery and trouble. Let me see. Her deliverer comes from Cephas. So the one we looked at before, the Cephas is the one who delivers her. With the mention of the suffering, always comes the reference to the deliverance. So you'll hardly ever hear about suffering in the Bible without some kind of deliverance coming from it. So at her head is Pegasus, the winged horse. At her foot is Perseus, her deliverer. So she's surrounded by some good constellations. Her feet point to her bridegroom, Perseus, on whose shoulder they rest. This is the church, bound in this physical realm, but unchained when Perseus frees her. So that's going to come later when we see in Aries, which we just finished up. We're just finishing up Aries now. I'm going to catch up to Aries here, and then we'll slow down and move on to the next one, which is Taurus, the bull. And so Aries is the last one in this Act 2, this Book 2, and it's called the Crowned Lamb, and it's the glory out of humiliation. It's the blessed outcome. It's the blessings of the redeemed, consummated and enjoyed. So we're moving into some good stuff now. You know, we had the Redeemer going through his thing, being crucified and all that stuff. But now we have the Crowned Lamb, glory out of humiliation, and that would be this would be here. This is the Aries right here, and.
Okay.
So we have. I just want to try and explain the 3 books again, with 4 chapters in each book, telling the story of the gospel and the stars. The first book is about the Redeemer, so that's Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. The second book is about the redeemed, and that includes Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries. What we see in Capricorn, the goat dying in sacrifice. It had the tail of a fish, indicating that his death was for the redeemed and the church. In Aquarius, we had the fish receiving the living water, and in Pisces, the multitude in conflict, being bound but held up by the Lamb. So it's being bound by the serpent, but it's also being held up by the Lamb. So each book ends with a triumph, and we see that here as this Lamb in Aries is full of life and vigor. So this Lamb is not the one that's going down in atonement and sacrifice. This is the Lamb that's alive, full of life and vigor. And there's a bunch of stars in there. We can't go through all the stars right now. Lamb. We saw the Lamb of God. We went through every verse that had lamb in it in the Bible, and there are many of them. Aries is the Lamb of God. He's a young lamb, and the next star name shows the lamb as being merciful, and it's also in sacrifice too. So let me see. You got a couple of bright stars in here. One means wounded and slain. Another one means cut in pieces. Another one means bruised, cuttings, cut in pieces. And something else that means to bound or bind or Dio is bound. We know Dio in the New Testament is bound. Pierced, my hands and my feet pierced. And then we went through Daniel 9:26. We talked a little bit about the 62 weeks from Messiah being cut off. And was slain. And why was he slain? He had to be slain. If he had to be slain to receive his power. Without him being slain, he wouldn't be able to come in glory and power. So he had to do that. So another idea in this constellation is that of kingship. So he's the king, he's the chief, he's the captain, he's the head. And we looked at all those verses for head, captain, chief. And he's the head stone, he's the captain. Well, let me see. So this is a lamb sacrificed, but reigning as a king. All this stuff about the lamb here. And then in Aries also, is that Aries? Yeah, hold on a second. The first decan, so that was about the lamb. So the first decan in Aries is Cassiopeia. And that's a beautiful picture of the church. When we looked at Andromeda, Andromeda was the chained woman, the chained church. And this Cassiopeia is the enthroned woman. It's the same woman, but she's on the throne now. She's freed, and she's preparing for her marriage to the Redeemer. So it's another woman as a church. Cassiopeia and Andromeda. We saw the bound woman. So this is the woman freed and delivered, and it comes from 2 words, Cassiopeia. I love putting these together. I love this. So 03678. 03678 is throne. The word for throne, and that's Cassie, or Kisi, and then you got 3308.
GC.
And that's beauty. And that's Yofi. So when you put these 2 together, you got Cassiopeia. That's where Cassiopeia comes from. These 2 words here. So it's the throne. It's the beauty on the throne. King Cephas sits near her on his throne, on the right side, and Perseus is on her left side. Those are 2 pictures of Christ there. She, as the suffering chained church, has been set free and is the bride getting adorned. So she's being adorned, and you see a picture of her sitting on the throne, adoring herself. She's got the robe in one hand, and she's got something else, and she's decking herself out. She's getting ready for her husband. And we looked at all the verses that have to do with the wife being adorned for her husband. And so she bears the branch of victory in one hand, and she's got the robes in her other hand. And the Lamb that redeemed her shall clothe her. And another decant here is Cetus. So you always have these, you always have the monster here, and Cetus is in here too, and that's Leviathan. And we looked at all the verses for Leviathan. Cetus is the sea monster, the enemy. So he's being subdued and bound, and this is the largest of all the constellations. Takes up a lot of the sky. He's a natural enemy of fishes, which is us, the church, the fish. He's in the southern hemisphere. He's in the lowest regions of the sky, fitfully so, and he's low, and he's the persecutor of the church, and that's Cetus, Cetus, the sea monster. And we can't bind him. And there's a couple of good verses. I don't know if I got into this last week. Maybe this is where we ended off. But that was a quick synopsis, and that felt good. So we got, let me see, Job. Where's Job? Job 41. We can't bind this guy. We can, tell him to get away from us, free from the devil. Tell him to get out of here. 41, 1 to 10. He says,
can't stop buying. Here's our draw.
Can thou bind him or his tongue with the cord which thou lettest down? Can thou put a hook in his tongue, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words to thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird? Wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the virgins? Can thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle. Do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fast that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? So in other words, God's saying, this is Leviathan. You can't do nothing against this guy. He's not going to be your friend. You're not going to be his friend. And if he's that terrible, how can you stand before me? None is so fit, dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? So if you can't stand before him, you ain't going to stand before me. So he's the one that binds him. We can't do it. And then, so the Lamb can, and he does. And we got Isaiah 26, 21 into 27. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. And this is what these next constellations is going to be all about. Hercules or the Orion coming and punishing. I mean, everybody that isn't on his side. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her stain. And that day the Lord with sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent. And that's what it looks like in the sky, with zigzags all over the place. And he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. And these are all pictures of Satan and pictures of Christ slaying the serpent. Revelation 20. Revelation 20. 1 and 2. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, Cetus, all these names, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed for middle season. And you've been with Jim for 20 years, and like the rest of us, we know what Kilia is. We know what the It
Right.
means more than 1,000 years. It's at least 2,000.
2,000 or more. Right.
And in that now, when Peter stood up and says, "This is that," when he was quoting from the
Right.
Old Testament, he says, "This is that," and these are the last days. So the last 2,000 years have
Right.
been the last days, because with the Lord, it's 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one
One
day.
day. Right.
So he has been bound, uh, so he can't deceive us anymore. But he will be
No.
loose the last season. And now John sees the bride. He sees New Jerusalem, the Lamb's wife, the
Right.
holy city, and that's in Revelation 21.
Right.
Revelation 1 through 10. Let me get this down here. Open this up, and get all of these verses in here. Revelation 21, 1 through 10, right? Yeah. Okay, and I saw
Right.
new heaven, new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no
Away.
more sea.
Right.
And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for a husband. And I got all these pictures of these constellations running through my head as I'm reading this. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God." And what I go all the way down to 10. It's basically talking about the great city. And in 10 he says, "And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God." So that's the New Jerusalem. That's the church.
Right.
And we're not going to get into all the colors and everything, but and so in the stars in here in Cetus are talking about. Is that what I'm looking at? Yeah. The bound, the chained enemy, and another star is overthrown or thrust down, and another star is called the rebel, and that's what he is. He's the rebel, and we'll look at that old 4784. 4784. This is the rebel, and that's one of the stars. And all of these names that I'm giving you are star names. This is Mara, and that's up there too. It's one of the stars. The bound and chained and thrust down rebel, Job 41, we read that. Isaiah 51, 22 and 23. 51. One more. 51. What did I say? 22 and 23. Here we go. Thus saith the Lord. Thus saith thy Lord, the Lord and thy God that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, Bow down, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body on the ground, and as to them that went over. So he's saying, he's telling them now, awake, awake. You were trampled on, but now you're with me, and we're gonna make them pay, And then Isaiah, Psalms 74. We read Isaiah 26 already. Psalm 74. 74. I don't know if we did these last week. I don't remember, but they're good. 74, 12, 14.
74, 14.
King of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength. Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters. Breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces, and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. Thou didst cleave the fountain of the flood, and the flood thou drivest up mighty rivers. The day is thine, the night also is thine, and thou hast prepared the light and the sun. That chapter 16. I got a picture of the constellation. Thou hast set all the borders of the earth. Thou hast made summer and winter. The heavens declare the glory of God. And when we move on, this is Cetus still talking about Cetus, the serpent bound and thrust down. So now instead of the serpent having control, he's being changed now. And then we got the third canon here, Perseus. Perseus is the armed man holding a head with serpents. So that's who broke the rebel. He's called the breaker. When we move on to Perseus, and that means the breaker. 65, the breaker. Rocks. He's to break down, to break forth, to break through, back down. So Perseus, that's what this is all about. Parats, the breakdown, the person. Then we got Micah. 48 verses. Micah. There it is, the last one. Micah 2:13. Let me put it up. The breakers come up before them. They have broken up and have passed through the gate and are gone out by it, and their king shall pass before them, and the land and the Lord on the head of them. So that's the break.
Okay.
I will surely assemble, O Jacob, all of thee. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together as the sheep of Bozrah, as the flock in the midst of their fold. They shall make great noise by reason of multitude of men. There's the church there. All right. And then Revelation
12.
19.
12 and 13.
13 to 17.
Revelation.
And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of the heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that you may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. So this is the victory here. You know, he's coming swiftly, this Perseus, and he carries the head of his enemy. So you look at the picture of it. I don't know if I have any pictures of it yet. No, I got his Taurus here. I don't have Perseus. Let me see. Hold on a second. Nah, I don't want to go crazy looking at pictures now. Perseus.
No. Oh.
Yeah, we're caught up in this Perseus constellation.
Versus constellation.
Now, that's what he looks like up there. But the picture they got, let's see here. This Cassiopeia, she's up there, sitting on a chair. All right. You can't really make too much out of this Perseus. I'm trying to get one of the imaginative pictures of him. Here we go. So he's holding the head, the Medusa head, with all the things coming here. He's got this, and he's got a shield or something over here. But some of these are real fanciful. But and you can tell, you can look at the stars in this thing. You say, how did they come up with that picture? But they came up with the picture because of the names of the stars, and they know what the stars mean, and they just came up with a picture of that. But like I said, we go with what the star means, and so another star is Athik, which means who breaks. Another star is Merfak, which means who assists, to lean on. Another star is Al-Ghanib, and it means who carries away. So this is carrying away the head. You know, let's see what else we got here. I couldn't even figure it out from this picture. Yeah. There you go. Draw the lines, but without the lines, you wouldn't know what it is. and like that.
Mm-hmm.
You even see Adam, Seth, and Enos, they're laying down in the grassy field, they're looking up, and they could see this picture, because God showed it to them. And he named all the stars, and he gave them the names. There you go.
Right.
This is basically what it is. These stars lined up here, and they put
Yeah.
these fanciful pictures here. Here's the head of Medusa, that's Perseus, and that's Jesus. There you go. You can put any picture you want on there. you know.
Mm.
Let me see. Um, what am I looking at here? I turned the page. Okay. Carries. So in the head, carried by Perseus, you have the Medusa. The name of the star is Medusa, and it's also called the trodden underfoot. You got another name called Rosh or Rash, and that's the head. We don't. The head is Rash. Uh, um, like I said, I'm not going crazy looking at all these things, but Rosh means head. What's it? 7218. 7218 is Rosh, and that's head. That means head. And you see that through a lot of these constellations have this name Rosh, head, and also
Yeah.
bruise. You'll see bruise in almost every constellation. The head of the enemy, subdued, 6031, and then Al Ghul. I thought of Ra's al Ghul when I was thinking of the Batman movie. The guy's name was Ra's al Ghul, and it means evil spirit or wicked.
Mm.
And it's a changeable star in there. There's one star that comes and goes. So I don't know how that happens, but it's called Al Ghul, and it's coming and going or rolling around. And the Hebrew name or number for that would be 1556. Rolled and 1538. Oh, 1538. 1538, right? 1538. Gulgoleth. Pole scroll, head, pole skull, and go. And then this one here is galal, which means to roll away. So we can't go through all these verses, but we're just looking at the name of the star. It doesn't matter what verse it's attached to. So here we have the redeemed, blessed, and delivered out of conflict and saved from the enemy. So that's us being saved by this Perseus. And when you get into reading about all of these myths in mythology, they all have fanciful things, but basically they stick to the story, and they know that this is, even though it's a fanciful thing, and they have different names and Jupiters and all these other names, and going down into and this one threw this one up into the sky to save his life and all that. But basically, they keep to the fact that it's a mighty one, and he's conquering. He went down into hell, and he came back up, and he's in the stuff.
Right.
So they have the basic story when you read these, because every one of these books that I read have some kind of mythology in it, but they stick true to the actual thing.
Okay.
So this is the church's hope. The breaker comes and he frees the Andromeda church. So now she's Cassiopeia as the throne adorned for her husband. The enemy is slain and broken in pieces. And then we move on to the day of the Lord. And that's Taurus. When we get into Taurus now, let me see, did I finish Aries here? Yeah, in the head, changeable star, Aries. And then Taurus is the bull coming to rule. As you can see, we're getting away from all the suffering and everything. And this is God taking his vengeance. These last four in this book is Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. And these are the ones that are for us, that we're getting together with him. So like I said, the first four are about the Redeemer. The next four are about the redeemed, us. And then the next four are about the redemption, and that's all of us together, So we get into Taurus, and we got the glory that should follow, and that's in 1 Peter 1:11. Searching or what manner of time the Spirit of Christ, which was in them, did signify when it testified beforehand the sufferings of Christ, which we just looked at in the last 8 constellations, and the glory that should follow, which will be these next 4 constellations. And then Hebrews 9:28. So Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation. So that's what we have to look forward to. And I got these verses for the Lord of all earth. I don't know why I threw that up there, but behold, the ark of the Lord of all the earth passes over before Jordan. And it shall come to pass, as soon as the souls at the feet of the priest bear the ark of the Lord, that the Lord of all the earth shall rest in the waters of the Jordan, that the waters of Jordan shall be cut off from the waters that come down from above. They shall stand upon a heap. So that's the second Jordan crossing that they did when they went in to conquer the land. So that's coming up out of hell. The Jordan is a picture of hell going down, and coming up on the other side is them going into the land of milk and honey. And Zechariah 6:5, and the angel answered and said unto me, these are the 4 spirits of the heavens which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. So he's the Lord of all the earth. We know that. Let's see what else I got here. It's the okay. And it's Taurus, it's the bull, and let me close this out and see what else we got here. I don't need these anymore. Let's close this out. Let's see what else we got up here. I don't need this. I don't need this. Let's get one of these here. His glory. All right. So this is the Messiah coming to judge all the earth. His glory is coming, and it's Taurus, it's the bull, and it's also the day of the Lord. So like the lamb and the goat, this bull is also a type of the sin offering. It's a picture of the Lord. But unlike the lamb or the goat, this is a fierce animal that will gore his enemies. So when you see, let me see if I got it here. I got vengeance, I got judgment. Okay, the day of the Lord. Okay, all those are good. These are all verses that have to do with this constellation here. But I'm looking for. That's the. I don't have it here. Let me look at this one here. 7214. 7214 is the unicorn. Okay. And is there another number here? Hold on a second. 72. How did I get 1713? Hold on a second. Something wrong here. Hold on. Oh, 1713.
That's what you put 14 before.
That's the wrong. I got the wrong number here. 7213. Oh, 7213. Lift it up. Okay. So this unicorn.
Okay.
When you get a picture of a unicorn in your head, you think of these fanciful, these charmed horses with the one ram thing coming out of its head. But that's not what this is. This was an actual animal, and it's said to be extinct now. But I'm looking for. I had something here. Hold on a second. That explained what this unicorn is. In Easton's dictionary, it's described as an animal of great ferocity and strength. And that's in Numbers 23:22. As you can see, whoops, let me put this up there. Hold on a second. All right. Of great ferocity and strength in Numbers 23:22. God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of an unicorn. And also, it's untamable. It was in reality a two-horned animal, but the exact reference of the word so rendered reem, because that's what this word is here, rehem or rame or reem, and it's probably the great aurochs or the wild bulls, which are now extinct. The exact meaning is not known, but you'll have a lot of writers that talk about these things as being actual animals that are now extinct, very huge, like almost like an elephant, but looking like a bull, with long horns, and very fierce. Some have supposed it to be a buffalo, others white antelopes, called in the Arabs a rim. Probably, however, the word denotes the primitive ox, which is now extinct all over the world. This was the aurochs of the Germans, and the Urus described by Caesar as inhabiting the heights, the Hercynian forest. The word thus rendered has been found in an Assyrian inscription written over the wild ox or bison, which some also suppose to be the animal intended. When Moses was giving his blessing to the tribes, he says in Deuteronomy 33:17, speaking of Joseph, and we know that Joseph was broken up into Ephraim and Manasseh. So there you have the two horns right there. So in 3:17, he's saying his glory, Joseph, is like the first sling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of a unicorn's. So what we think of as unicorn is this one-horned horse right there. This is plural, horns of a unicorn. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim and the thousands of Manasseh. So, and you can see the horns of the unicorns. Save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of the unicorns. So it's plural. It's two horns. And let me see. And it's brutal. You know, it destroys anything in its path. And this is the Redeemer. And the 12 signs of the Mazarah were assigned to each of the 12 tribes. And we went through this. There's a book that I have, Mazarah, that showed the standard. Like each tribe had its own standard or its own sign, or its own banner, its own flag. And on this flag was a picture of one of the 12 constellations. And this sign here was Taurus. Was assigned to Joseph through his two sons and Manasseh, the two powerful horns. It is the bull of judgment, Christ, who will gore his enemies at his second coming. So in the Greek, it's called Tauros. Hold on a second, see if I can get a page here. I probably had this up there somewhere, but let's put it up here. 5022 is bulls. All right. Whoops. Tauros, bull or ox. So this is Tauros. Turo. In the Hebrew, we have 7794. 7794. We have ox. It's called Shur, and that's one of the stars here. It's Shur, also called Thar, Thar, Thur. It's the same thing. It means the bull coming, or the bullock. And then
Thau.
0838. Bull coming. I want to get caught up in these star names, but 838 steps is Ashur, and that's one of the stars. It's called Step or Rule, and that's Ashur. And then you got another one, 8450. 8450. This is where you all get bored and we get tedious looking up all of these stars here. 8450. There's a lot of names for bull, bullocks, oxen, and that. So this is Tur. It's Aramaic, and it comes from Shur, which is the Hebrew. So Aramaic is Tur, oxen, bullock, and you can see Taurus in there. And Rule, Syriac name, who saves mightily, salvation. And we know salvation is Yasha. One of the Coptic names here is Isis, but we know it's Yasha. It's 3468. 3468. Salvation. And that's Yasha, salvation. So that's one of the names in the stars up there. Names in the sign, not one of the names of the stars, but one of the names in the sign. Who saves mightily, but they call it Isis. And then Apis is who cometh, and he comes, and it would be 3318 is the big one for who comes. 3318. Almost 1,000 verses here with this, so let's go through all of them one at a time. Ready? Okay. 3318. Oh. 18 is Yatsa. That means to come, and that's a big verb, and that's in a lot of the constellations. Comes, he comes. Also, Bo is come. Also, but I don't think that's in this one. So that's Yasha, who cometh. 3318, and then you got Pasak. He'll 6452. 6452. This is what I have to do with all of these. I look all of these up each individually. I bore myself to tears, but I love doing it. Passover, Pasak. So this is like the Passover here. It's the word for Passover. Pasak. So he comes and he passes, and that's 8. And then here's the one for Bo. This is the big one. Come and see this in a lot of the constellations. 935 is Bo. Bo means come, to go, to enter in, and you'll see that a lot. All right, Bo. Coming, wayfaring. We got 732. 732. Jarak, wayfaring man. Arak, wayfaring man. That's one of the names in here. And then you got Tauros. We looked that up already. So, and then we got names in the sign. And these are the stars here. You got Kima, which is also the Pleiades. And you'll see a lot of stuff on this. Kima is 3598. 3598. And this, we studied this when we first started looking at the constellations. And this is the Pleiades. And it's called Kima. Pleiades, or the 7 stars. Let me see if I got anything on it here. Okay. All right. And okay. And then you got there's so many good names in here. Congregation of judge or ruler, and that's what Pleiades means. Pleiades is a bunch of stars together, and it's called a congregation of the judge or the ruler. Judge 5712. I think it's 5712. If it's not, yeah, that's congregation. That's Ada. And there's another good word for this here, Ada. And then you got Palal. And these, Palal 6419. What happened there? 6419. Palal, pray, it intervenes into Palal. That's the judge or the ruler. I'm sorry. And then the congregated or the congregation. So many different words here. I can't go through all of these. And this, the judge is the Palatium belonging to the judge. Got 6414. This 6414. Is that judges? Yes, 6414 is judges, Palil, and that's one of the names in the sign, Palil. And then Wasat means the center, the foundation. And you got, what's the word for that in Hebrew? Looks like Chasa, 8356. 8356. Foundations. Shata, foundations. And these are all names in the stars and the sign, and then we have to look these up. And then 3245. Let's see if this is here. Hold on. Shatat. No, foundation. Okay, I'm looking for this other one. Mossad here. You all heard of Mossad, right? The Israeli CIA or something like that. And that's where this comes from here. Congregated at the foundation 3245. 3245 is Yasad is the foundation. But you look up the TWOT here, you'll see all the different words that comes from it. Yasad, established foundation. Yesud is foundation. Yesod, foundation. Yesuda, foundation. Musad, foundation, or laying the foundation. Masada is the foundation. So that's where they get that name from for that agency. The Masada is the foundation. And then TWOT 1875. TWOT 875? Yeah, that's what's okay. I'm looking at anything in here. There's so much you can't go through all of this in one sitting here.
No.
Much. And that's in the TWOT. If you have the TWOT, it's a great set of books to get. Actually, I have it's a 1-volume set. I know Michael has a 2-volume set, but
I have a 2-volume set too.
That's good. It's a great set, and you look up all these words, you go nuts looking at all these things. 34, and then the abundance is Yethara, which is 34.99. 34.99. I start reading something, I'll just go nuts and I'll read the whole thing. Let's see. Yether, the rest remainder. And then 35.2. These are all star names. 2. Abundance. Okay. Yithra, abundance. I don't want to get caught reading all the verses because really sometimes most of the time the verse has nothing to do with the star. It's just they're just showing you what the name of the star is, and really the verse doesn't usually have too much of a connection with the constellation. So we won't even look at the verses. We just want to see the name of the star. So Yithra means abundance and riches and wealth, and then something about turned and rolled around. We looked at Gilgal already. That's turning and rolling. Virgule. Okay. And then we got names in the stars. We got one of the name the main ones is Aldebaran, and let me see if I got this here. Hold on a second. I think this is the biggest star here. Taurus. Oops. Yeah, Aldebaran. This is the biggest one, and this is in the eye. I think it's the right eye of the bull. And as you can see here, his horns. There's one horn coming up here, and there's another horn coming up here. All right, and here's his face. Here's the Pleiades in here. This little cluster of stars. That's the Pleiades. And here's the Aldebaran, which means the leader or the governor, counselor, subduing. And you got some Hebrew word. I don't want to go crazy with all of these things, but that's what he's. This Aldebaran comes from 1907. 1907. Counselor. It's in the Aramaic. It's Hadabar, counselor, 1907. And there's another one here, 1696. Just pulling out these star names. 1696. Spake. Dabar means to speak. Say. Yeah. Dabar. 1696. And that has to do with Aldebaran, the leader, the governor, the counselor, subduing. And then you have another star, El Nath. Let's see if I got a picture of that anywhere. El Nath. Here it is, El Nath. It's up there on the tip of the one of the horns. And that's the northern horn. And it's also in Aries. If you look at Aries, you'll see that it's hold on a second. It's El Nath, and it's in. It means wounded or slain. Okay, but it's also here, and it means Nathak is 5408. So I'm not going to look it up, but it means wounded or slain, El Nath, and it's another big star here. That's another big one there, and then you got Al Sion. It's in the Pleiades or the center, the foundation or the established. And let me get some words on this here. Center, foundation. You got base, foundation, and established. And we might end on these here. We're not even going to get into the first decan, Orion, tonight. But we're going to finish up here with these 36. Oh man, 3651. I can't even read my own writing. 3651. Cain. Yeah. Okay. Let me see what that means here. Hold on a second. Cain. So therefore, afterwards, there's something else connected with this. That means the center, or so it means to be firm, to be established, to be stable. Okay. And then 3653. A couple of these are connected. 3653. As you can see, it's another Cain or Ken.
Yeah.
But it means foot or state, the base, the pedestal. And these are all star names here, 3651, 3559. And then this, so this goes back to this 3651 goes back to that too, the Cain and the 3559. So that's connected with that. But also this 3653 is a main one, and the 4350 is established. 4350. I told you it's tedious looking up these things, and
Yes, it is.
and this is Makona, the base, or these are all connected. They mean the same thing. The base, Makon, the place, the habitation, the foundation, fixed, firm. So you can see it all means like the base, the foundation, the foot, established, to be firm, to be stable. So that's all this Alcyone or Kion, however you want to pronounce it, 3653 and 4350. 3653 and 4350. So those are the two main ones that I pulled out this star here. Ken and Mackinac. Okay, and then the foundation, we looked at a Masada already, and then this firmly established 3559. 3559, firmly established. We look at this already. That's the Coon. Prepare, established to be firm. Okay, we looked at that. Okay. Psalms 89. I want to get into some verses here. 89, 19. Psalms 89. Hold on a second. Psalms 89. We got 19. 19. Then thou speakest in vision to the Holy One, and sayest, I have laid help upon one that is mighty. I have exalted one chosen out of the people. I have found David my servant. With my holy oil have I anointed him, with whom my hand shall be established. And all of these words are in there too. Established, mine arm also shall strengthen him. The enemy shall not exact upon him, nor the son of wickedness afflict him. And I will beat down his foes before his face, and plague them that hate him. By my faithfulness and my mercy, but my faithfulness and my mercy shall be with him, and in my name shall his horn be exalted. I will set his hand also in the sea, and his right hand in the rivers. He shall cry unto me, Thou art my Father, my God, and the rock of my salvation. Also, I will make him my firstborn, higher than the kings of the earth. And when he talks about David, you know, he's talking about Jesus. My mercy will like for him forevermore, and my covenant shall stand fast with him. His seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. If his children forsake my law and walk not in my judgments, if they break my statutes and keep not my commandments, then will I visit their transgression with the rod and their iniquity with stripes. Nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail. So he's not going to break the covenant. We always break the covenant, but he's not going to break it. My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that has gone out of my lips. Once I have sworn by my holiness that I will not lie unto David. His seed shall endure forever, and his throne as the sun before me. It shall be established forever as the moon, as the faithful witness in heaven, Selah. And that's beautiful stuff. And then we'll get into the rest of these as we go on. But basically that bull, that Taurus, and the stars that are in there, the bright star in the bullseye that we looked at, that's Aldebaran. And that when you look at it, the star, it's a bright reddish star. So his eyes are as a flame of fire, you know. And Dabaran, Elnath, the left, and that's in the left horn is Elnath. It means wounded and slain. This sign also is in Aries with the shepherd. And Athak is the cluster of stars known as Pleiades. It means congregation, heap, and accumulation. That's Kima. And Alcyone means the center. We get base from that. And then the foundation we looked at and established. And Hyades similarly means congregated, and that's Numbers 16. Numbers 16. So all of these have to do with this bull here, this Taurus. Numbers 16. So I think it's Numbers 16. And they rose up before Moses with certainly the children of Israel. No, famous in the congregation, men of renown. Let me see what the numbers are here. Yeah, 57:12 is the Ada. We saw that, and 6950. Also, congregation here is Moed congregation, but I got 6950. 6950 is themselves together. Okay, so you got congregation Ada and Kahal, and that's the star Hades, Hyades. It simply means congregated or come together, assemble together. So there are many other stars, and they all point to the fact that the Lord is coming to rule, and He is coming to rule. And we'll look at some real quick verses where He's coming to rule. In Revelation 19, we might have looked at this already, but we're going to look at it again. 19:10, because there's repetition, ruthless repetition. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said, See, thou do it not. I am that fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. So when he comes in judgment, we will be with him. So he's going to take us out, like he take us out in the air. 1 Thessalonians 4:17. And with these verses here. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so we
shall we have
be with him. And then Enoch knew, you heard of the book of Enoch. It's not it's not in the canon. It's not an inspired word, but Jude quotes him, and many of the other books quote him. And you'll see in Jude 14, Enoch knew. Jude 14 and 15. Jude is quoting Enoch. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, and all their hard speeches, which ungodly sinners have spoken against. So these are murmurers, the complainers, and this is what he's coming to destroy. And there's so many verses about his coming with vengeance and judgment. And that's why I had that thing up there with vengeance and judgment and all those verses that are in there. We could spend hours just talking about the vengeance and the judgment, and we're going to have to save that for next week. And right now we're going to stop like we always do around 8:30, and we're going to have somebody pray for us. Brother Michael, can you say a few words for us?
Yeah. Thank you, Lord, for this evening and for your word and bringing us together in fellowship. And we know you planned this from the foundation of the world, and we can see your truth and your power and your might and your glory around us. We don't have to look up in the stars to see you there, and we don't have to read books and listen to world news to know that you are ruling over all things. We thank you that you didn't leave us to ourselves, but your word created things, and your word came and redeemed the people for yourself. Thank you that you did not leave us to ourselves, but you provided a way in a covenant and the blood to cover our sins, which we cannot do ourselves. We thank you for drawing us to you, that we would continue to seek your will, that you continue to go before us, though we prepare our steps, Lord, you lead our way, and we know that it's in truth and righteousness, and all of it is for our good and for your glory, and we give you praise for those things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother.
Amen.
Amen.
Man,
This is something else here. Look at this. Who put that up there? That's funny. That's funny. Everybody come and sit on this. Come on and sit on the stone. It's like a Zoom meeting. Yeah. That's funny stuff. There he is. Hey, buddy. Let me see. I put my arm around you.
Great.
You guys look like two bumps in a log.
My.
Wow.
Yes.
And we're glad you can make your first time here with us. Oh, let me stop recording here. Hold on a second. Thank you, guys, for all of this. We'll stop recording.